Mr. Herb Yancey. You know, every Hall of Fame has to have, you know, the rest of them, you know, they all deserve to be in the Hall of Fame big time. Everybody here deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but, you know, the Music Hall of Fame has Elvis Presley. The NASCAR Hall of Fame has Richard Petty. The Baseball Hall of Fame has Babe Ruth. Are you ready for this? Herb Yancey, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, 2019. Herb's racing career spans 30 years, from 1964 to 1994. He wore USSA Gold Bibs number 2, 3, 7, and 20. In 1970, Herb raced for Pennsylvania Arctic Cat distributor Penn Arctic. He then began racing for Team Abo, which soon became the most successful team in the history of Eastern Snowmobile racing in 1975. Became the only independent driver ever to win a snow pro race, beating the factory teams in the 650 class at the 1974 World Series at Eagle River, Wisconsin. He beat the snow pro guys. At Peterborough, Ontario in 1975, Herb won the 440 class in the professional driver's circuit both days. He also won a Kilkenny Cup in Mod 2 at the 1975 Lancaster Grand Prix. Counting the 74 win, Herb has won 6 World Series events. He won 3 firsts at the 1977 World Series in Weedsport, New York, and took 2 more at the 1978 World Series in West Yellowstone, Montana, winning in both the 440 Supermod and the 440X. For his effort, he was voted Star of the Series. Out of the 99 events Herb entered in 1977, he won 77 of them. Wow. Herb won the coveted Adirondack Cup in 1978 and became Driver of the Year for the 1978 season. In all, Herb Yancey garnered an amazing number of trophies, estimated to be between 1,200 and 1,500 during his racing career. His record as an independent, non-factory snowmobile racer is unmatched by anyone's standard and may never be surpassed. Ladies and gentlemen, please bow or curtsy.
Well, I want to start off with saying that it's snowmobile racing has always been a big part of my life. It was probably the #1 thing that I ever wanted to do from the time I was about 14 years old and rode on my first snowmobile. And it had a long and diverse road that I followed, and I don't know quite what to say other than I just appreciate all the support that I had over the years, and I can't begin to thank everybody, but I'm going to try. I was just a farm kid that didn't have much, but I knew that I wanted to go fast. I just loved the speed that I could obtain on anything that I ever was aboard. And a local dealer, Arctic Cat dealer, Dick Rennie from Casterland, New York, knew that I liked snowmobiles and I was pretty good at it. So he offered me a ride the first year. And he didn't have anybody to ride the big sleds, and he knew I liked speed. So he put me on a 634 Puma right out of the gate, and I went to a race. I come over to Lee, Massachusetts, and we went to a race, and we did pretty good, but it wasn't on top of the field, because there was a lot of tough competition over here. And then I think the next weekend we went to the New York State Fairgrounds, and all the factories were there. And I found out at that point that I had some talent and I had some ability to compete with the big boys. I remember Yvonne Duhamel, I raced it. He was in the class with me in the 650 class. And make a long story short, I wound up placing third against the factories way back then on my first early beginning. But there's a long road after that. Once I got done with the dealer racing for Rennie Sales and Service, I moved to New Jersey, and I didn't know what I was going to do in New Jersey as far as snow sled racing, because there was no races there. So I got hooked up with a Pennsylvania distributor in Penn Arden, and they didn't have any big sled drivers either, so they were glad to welcome me on board. So I raced all over Pennsylvania until 1974, and had quite a lot of good success, and run into a lot of tough drivers down in that neighborhood. Then I, as one of the people were mentioning, the sponsorships or the dealers or distributors were getting acquired by Nero Equipment. They acquired Rodco in New England here, and then they acquired, the following year, they acquired Penardi. So at the end of the 74 year, I was done with my sponsorship again. So I went to Eagle River for the Snowmobile race World Series that year, and I was going to run against the Snow Pro, because I always lagged a few points from being in the top 10. So I missed my invitation in 74. And when I got out there, I said, well, I can run against the factories. So I signed up, and in the afternoon, early afternoon, we had the Snow Pro, they were the elite show. So I was signed up in that class, so I went out and practiced on the racetrack. Well, my sled broke down because it wasn't up to par. So the night before at the restaurant, Team Able, Bill Able, offered me one of their sleds. And I said, no, I'll ride mine. So I rode mine and it broke down. So then, after it broke down, I said, well, there's one chance I can still get in. So I run over to Team Able's bus, and I said, is that sled available? And they said, sure, but we're busy with Ron Hall's sled, because he's our main concern. And I said, well, I understand, so I will work at it and see if I can get it put together. They had it all pieced out, robbing parts for this and that, and they said, we brought it along. We weren't going to run it, but it's here. You can take it. So I got it all put together, and by the way, it was Chip Elwood's sled. That it was freshly put together because he didn't get it put together early in the season, so it was all fresh. And it was I took it into the pit. In them days, they used to lock the pit gates. Once you went in, you couldn't go back out to get a part or spark plug or anything. So you had to take everything you needed into the locked pits. And by then, Ronnie was done with his class, so all Team Able's mechanics jumped right on the sled, and we finished putting it together in the pits. And so the first time that I rode that sled was when I pulled on the line in the heat race with all the factory drivers. And never sat on it before, but it was such a prepared sled that I went out there and I placed third. It was enough to turn over into the semi. And I said, if we can get this sled tuned up just a little bit more, I said, I think I can really place in this race. And it was so much better than my sled that I just was just like I was tuned for it. And I took it into the corners so hard that everyone thought I was going to crash every lap going in, and I would slide right up to the wall within a foot of the wall and then charge back down through. And I remember the race quite vividly. Charlie Lofton was ahead of me. I got out in the feature just about third, and then picked them off one by one. By about the sixth lap, I was ready to go into the lead. And I took the lead, and I said, well, Charlie Lofton was who I was dueling with. He pulled back by me. And then the next lap, I went by him again, and then I never seen him again. I said, I wonder what happened. Well, I don't know. I guess something give out on the sled. But then I was out front all by myself and won the race. So that was one of the highlights of my career, is beating the factories with the big machine against those seasoned drivers and all the budget they had, and that was just, I can't say how much that was a highlight. And so then the rest, I got invited to join Team Able for the coming seasons, and that's when my career really took off. And I had mechanics helping me. It wasn't a one-man show anymore, and we had good support. And so I owe so much to Team Able and the whole crew, Ronnie and Chip and the mechanics. That just made everything possible. It left me more time to concentrate on driving, and as some of you probably know, I was a pretty intense driver. I was all business, and when I went to the races, there was no monkey business. Everything was serious. So I just, I could go on and on about a lot of stories. If you want to talk to me one-on-one or anytime, I'm available to correspond with any or everyone, because the sport will give me so much in my life that I can never repay what I owe.
They don't call him the giant killer for nothing. Angie, come over here, please.
I can't be thankful enough to this organization, Paul Crane and Midge and his other associates, which I don't personally know, but this is a great thing for snowmobiling and the vintage aspect of it. It's just phenomenal that I am a part of that. I feel honored to be inducted into this year's inductees. I have so many people to thank that it's hard to go through and mention them all.
Sure.
But snowmobile is so much of my part of my life.
It's all good. Do you have any fond memories of, if like racing memories that come to mind? Any, like maybe like a racing story you would like to share? Or?
Well, all these stories, like I mentioned in the presentation,
Sure.
I always loved running against the factory because they're the best. They got the best budget. If you could even stay with them, that's such an honor.
Sure.
And I loved it when they would, when we'd pull in, especially with Team Able. I've heard this quote many times, and I've read it in print in Warriors of Winter, that there comes that Team Able and that damn Yancey. So that kind of tickles my fancy.
Nice.
And I just loved racing against them because they're the best of the best. And so where does that put me? I'm right there in the same category.
Nice.
And it's nice to have that feeling,
Yeah, for sure.
to know that you're that caliber.
Yeah, and that people are still thinking about it these many years later.
Yes, and I didn't realize it until just recent years, digging up all this old stuff, that I was just one driver that was, they loved to watch race because I was so animated and all over that sled. I did whatever I needed to. I could jump on any sled and bring it in, even if it didn't have a track record of being a winner. It was so great to get the most potential out of a unit when you're on it. And I ran various sleds for various people over the years, and some of them I said, I don't know how the driver could drive that sled, but I would still get it around.
Nice.
It was it's just such a honor to be recognized for what's going on now, the resurgence in this vintage program. So I just talked to Mark Bellinger, and he did Midge's sled, restored it with two other guys, his son and another guy, and they're getting involved in the vintage racing. So I'm sure we're going to have a good association, because he does just a super job restoring them sleds and making them look great.